The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was alive with whispers and curious glances. Representatives from dozens of star systems had gathered, each seated in their shining platforms that floated in a perfect circle. The council rarely summoned all its members at once, but today was no ordinary day. A new species had been discovered: humans. The first report had come from a scout vessel that detected unusual transmissions from a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. At first, many assumed it was another primitive species not ready for contact. But soon the transmissions became clearer: radio signals, visual broadcasts, even digital networks. Within days, the council realized that this species was not primitive at all. They were rising quickly, too quickly for comfort. High Chancellor Vaylor, a tall, silver-skinned being with 4 luminous eyes, raised a hand to quiet the room. "Esteemed delegates," he began, his voice echoing softly across the chamber, "we have reached a critical moment. The species known as Homo sapiens, or humans, has achieved remarkable progress in a short span of time. They are now capable of space travel within their star system, and their technology is advancing at a pace that demands our attention." The hall rippled with unease. The council had seen this pattern before: young civilizations growing too fast, destabilizing neighboring systems, and causing conflict. But humanity was different. They had not been uplifted by another race. They had climbed upward on their own, through trial and error, through persistence. Delegate Thrix, representing the aquatic world of Shal, shifted in his water-filled sphere. "Chancellor, what is our purpose here? To judge them? To welcome them? Or to warn them?" Vaylor's 4 eyes narrowed. "We are here to understand them. We must decide whether they are a threat, a partner, or something else." At that, a small projection flickered in the center of the chamber. It was a gift from humanity, a vast archive of their history, achievements, and culture. Humans, eager to prove themselves as worthy of friendship, had shared records of their greatest discoveries, their art, their explorations, and yes, even their struggles. The first images were harmless enough. The delegates watched colorful patterns painted on cave walls, depictions of animals and hunts from an age long gone. They saw ships of wood sailing oceans, reaching unknown lands. They heard music that carried deep emotion, even if the languages were strange. The council murmured in appreciation. Humans, it seemed, had a rich culture. Next came their scientific progress: fire, tools, agriculture, then machines of flight, metal birds that conquered the skies, medicine that extended life, machines that could speak, compute, and learn. The aliens were impressed, though not overly surprised. Many species had followed similar paths, but the more the council watched, the more they noticed something unusual. Humans did not simply survive their struggles. They thrived because of them. Every disaster, every challenge seemed to make them stronger. Famine pushed them to invent new ways to grow food. Plagues led them to discover cures. Harsh environments forced them to adapt and endure. Delegate Orlus of the crystalline Canary tilted his glittering head. "Their will is unusual. Where others would fall, they rise. It is as though they are forged in hardship." The council began to shift uncomfortably. History had taught them to be cautious of such species. A race that grows stronger under pressure can be dangerous if cornered. The archive shifted again, this time showing humanity's art of exploration. Rockets pierced the sky, carrying fragile humans into the black void of space. They walked on their own moon, leaving footprints on dust no living being had touched before. They sent machines beyond their star, whispering greetings into the galaxy. The council chamber grew quiet. Even among the stars, few species had dared so much so early. Yet, despite all this progress, humanity remained humble in their first message to the council. The video showed a group of human leaders dressed in simple suits, speaking directly into the camera. "We are humanity," they said. "We come in friendship. We share our story with you so you may know us. We hope for peace, cooperation, and understanding." The words were sincere, and many delegates felt a brief relief. Perhaps this species, while ambitious, was peaceful at heart. But High Chancellor Vaylor was not so easily convinced. He knew that a species' surface words could hide deeper truths. Their archive had shown brilliance, resilience, and ambition, but also hinted at shadows not yet explored. "Let us not rush to conclusions," Vaylor said, folding his long arms. "What we have seen is only the beginning. If we wish to truly understand humanity, we must see all of it, their light and their darkness." The delegates agreed. The council would continue watching. They had admired humanity's creativity, their drive, and their courage. But what else lay hidden in those archives? What truths would make the council rethink everything they believed about survival, conflict, and power? The chamber dimmed and the next section of the archive began to play. None of them could have known that what they were about to witness would shake the very foundations of the Galactic Council. For while they had seen humanity's art and progress, they had not yet seen humanity's wars, and once they did, peace would no longer be a choice. It would be a necessity. The chamber of the Galactic Council grew darker as the next part of humanity's archive began to play. At first, many delegates leaned forward with curiosity. They had already seen human art, invention, and exploration. Now, they expected to see more celebrations of culture, perhaps festivals or great discoveries. Instead, the screen showed something very different. A scene appeared of muddy fields under gray skies. Rows of humans in heavy coats moved slowly through trenches, their faces worn with exhaustion. The delegates frowned, unsure of what they were seeing. Then the sound came, booming thunder, flashes of fire, and the cries of men struggling to hold their ground. Delegate Thrix of Shal tilted uneasily in his water sphere. "What is this? A disaster? A storm?" "No," whispered Orlus of the Canary, his crystalline body dimming in dread. This is war." The council chamber fell silent as the footage continued. Explosions tore the ground apart. Machines of steel rolled across the battlefield, spitting fire. Humans ran forward even when others fell around them. The delegates could hardly believe it. Many civilizations in the council had once fought wars, but such brutal images had not been seen in ages. Chancellor Valar's eyes narrowed. This is their past, their history of conflict. The footage shifted again. Now it showed vast oceans with steel ships firing giant shells, skies filled with roaring aircraft, and entire cities shaken by thunderous blasts. The council could see that these wars were not small disputes. They were massive, stretching across continents, involving millions of humans at once. Delegate Shara of the Gentle Avori clutched her feathered hands to her chest. But why? Why would they do this to one another? No one answered. They all watched in uneasy silence. The council had seen records of violence before. Most species had early conflicts, but those usually ended once civilizations matured. Yet humanity's wars did not stop with growth. They evolved. The more humans advanced, the more complex and devastating their conflicts became. The archive showed soldiers marching with discipline, tanks rumbling through destroyed streets, and skies lit by firestorms. Humans fought not only with strength, but also with strategy, coordination, and a strange determination that refused to break. Even in defeat, they regrouped. Even in despair, they returned to the battlefield. Delegate Thrix muttered nervously. "It is madness. They risk everything, yet they do not stop." Orlus spoke again, his crystalline voice trembling. "No, it is not madness. It is will. They fight as if surrender is unthinkable." Then came the moment that made the chamber grow colder still. The screen showed a flash brighter than the sun. A great cloud rose into the sky, spreading wide like a monstrous flower of fire and ash. The delegates gasped. Many civilizations had perished in the past from natural disasters smaller than this. Yet the humans had created such destruction with their own hands. Chancellor Valar's four eyes glowed in alarm. "They made this themselves?" The archive continued, showing ruins where once stood cities, survivors walking among ash, and the long silence after such devastation. For a moment, the council feared that humanity had destroyed itself. But then, to their shock, the footage shifted again, showing humans rebuilding. Cities rose once more. Machines of progress returned. Families gathered in hope. The council could not understand it. How could a species endure such devastation and continue forward as though nothing could stop them? Delegate Shara whispered, almost in fear. "They survive everything." The chamber broke into murmurs. Some delegates argued that such resilience made humans dangerous. Others insisted it proved their strength of spirit. But all agreed on one thing. Humanity was unlike any species they had ever known. Chancellor Valar silenced the voices with a raised hand. "Do you see? They do not crumble under fire. They are shaped by it. Where others would fall, they rise again. If such a species is pushed into war with us, what would they do?" The delegates had no answer. They could not even imagine it. The archive ended with a haunting image. Soldiers standing side by side, BI, battered but unbroken, raising their flag high above the ruins. The message was clear without words: humans endured no matter the cost. The silence in the council chamber was heavy. Every delegate was lost in thought. The Shell representative thought of his ocean cities, fragile and calm, and wondered how they could resist such a people. The Canary considered their crystalline towers, strong but brittle compared to humanity's will. Even the Avori, who had long abandoned conflict, felt a shiver at the idea of facing humans in battle. Finally, Valar spoke. "We asked to know them, now we do. They are a species of survivors forged in fire and hardship. If we provoke them, if we threaten them, they will not yield." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. What they had hoped would be a study of culture had turned into a warning. They were no longer simply curious about humanity. Now they were concerned. But none of them yet knew that the worst was still to come. The archive had shown war on Earth, but soon they would see the true scale of human potential. Wars that could span stars, and a spirit that refused to break no matter the odds. For the first time, the Council began to feel fear. The chamber of the Galactic Council was filled with a heavy silence. The delegates had just witnessed the destruction and resilience of humanity's wars. Many still struggled to understand what they had seen. For some, the images of humans rebuilding cities after such devastation were inspiring. For others, they were terrifying. But the archive had not yet finished. The next footage began, and at once the council felt a chill. They saw tall rockets standing on launch pads painted in stark colors, carrying not explorers this time, but weapons. These rockets were built not to touch the stars, but to deliver destruction across entire continents. The delegates gasped as they saw tests of nuclear fire. The ground shook, the air shimmered, and colossal mushroom clouds rose higher than mountains. To the council races, these images were worse than anything they had ever imagined. Delegate Shara of the Avori pressed her feathered wings close in fear. This is no war. This is annihilation." Chancellor Valar's voice was grim, yet they did not fall to it. They stood upon the edge of extinction and turned back. The council could see it now. These humans had created weapons powerful enough to destroy their entire world many times over. And yet, instead of using them to erase themselves completely, they had found a strange balance. Fear itself kept the weapons silent. Orlys of the Kinari leaned forward, his crystal face catching the glow of the footage. "Do you see? No other race would survive such knowledge. Most would destroy themselves. But humans, they learned to live with it. They lived with the shadow of fire above their heads, and still, they thrived." The council chamber buzzed with uneasy discussion. Some whispered that humans were reckless, others argued they were disciplined. But all agreed that their ability to survive such dangers made them something entirely different from the peaceful civilizations of the stars. The archive continued, showing more of humanity's history. Wars grew faster, more precise, more technical. Machines flew unseen, striking targets from far away. Satellites watched the entire world from orbit. Armies marched with perfect coordination. Humans no longer needed millions of soldiers to wage war. A small force with advanced technology could do what once required entire nations. Delegate Thrix of Shal could no longer stay silent. His voice trembled within his water sphere. "Do you not see the danger? If such a species brings war to the stars, none of us will survive it. They will adapt as they always do. They will endure as they always have." But Shara of the Avori shook her head. "Or perhaps they will lead us to strength. Their will is unlike ours. Maybe their survival teaches something we have forgotten." Her words caused another stir in the chamber. Some saw humans as a threat. Others began to see them as protectors, as a species that might shield the galaxy with their iron spirit. Valar raised his hand for silence. His four eyes glowed with both caution and respect. "Enough. What we must understand is this. Humanity does not break. They may suffer, they may burn, but in the ashes they rise again. If they are enemies, they will be the most dangerous enemies we have ever faced. If they are allies, they may become the strongest allies we could hope for." The last scenes of the archive played, showing not destruction this time, but the rebuilding after every storm. Families stood together amid ruins. Children laughed in schools that had been rebuilt where once there was only rubble. Scientists discovered medicines to heal the wounds left by war. And leaders spoke of peace even after rivers of blood had been spilled. The council members were shaken. It was not only humanity's power that disturbed them, it was their persistence. A people that could walk through fire and emerge stronger on the other side was unlike any species they had encountered. When the lights in the chamber brightened again, no one spoke for a long time. The air was thick with tension, fear, and reluctant admiration. Finally, Orlis broke the silence. His crystalline voice was calm but sharp. We cannot fight them. Not now, not ever. To fight humanity is to invite endless struggle. They will never yield. And if we fall into conflict with them, it will not end until one side is gone, Shara added softly. Then we must choose peace, before it is too late. But not all were convinced. Thrix's watery form shifted nervously as he muttered, Peace today may mean submission tomorrow. If they are this strong already, what will they become in centuries to come? The council chamber erupted in debate again, voices rising, hands waving, bodies trembling. Some called for treaties, some for careful distance, others even for preemptive measures. But the memory of nuclear fire and the image of humans raising their flag in ruins silenced the loudest voices. Chancellor Valar rose to his full height, his presence commanding the room. The decision must be made soon. We stand at the breaking point. Either we welcome humanity as equals, or we risk a future where we face them as enemies. And I tell you now, if we choose the path of war, we will lose. The council fell silent once more. Every delegate could feel the truth in his words. The breaking point had been reached, not for humanity, but for the galaxy itself. For the first time, the council realized that peace with humans was not simply kindness. It was survival. The Galactic Council sat in deep contemplation. For hours they had watched the history of human conflict, their wars, their inventions of unimaginable destruction, and their remarkable ability to survive and rebuild. What had begun as curiosity had now turned into a mixture of awe and fear. Chancellor Valar's four eyes scanned the chamber. We have reached a crossroads, he said. Humanity is no ordinary species. We have seen their courage, their skill, and their endurance. We have also seen their capacity for destruction. If we act carelessly, we could unleash a force beyond our control. Delegate Orlis of the Canary leaned forward, his crystalline form glittering. We cannot ignore what we have witnessed. Humans are unlike any species we know. They endure, they adapt, and they will not yield. Any attempt to challenge them would be catastrophic. Thrix of Shal let out a slow, troubled sigh. Yet they have not attacked us. They have reached out in peace, offering knowledge, friendship, and communication. Their war history is behind them, or at least we have no proof otherwise. Could it be that their desire to survive has made them wise enough to choose peace now? Valar nodded. Perhaps. But we cannot gamble on hope alone. We must take deliberate action. The delegates murmured among themselves, debating possibilities. Some argued that humanity should be monitored but left alone. Others insisted on creating strict boundaries, ensuring that no contact could escalate into conflict. A few advocated for more aggressive measures, testing human strength or even confronting them before they became stronger. But every time someone mentioned aggression, the memory of human wars flashed in their minds, their tenacity, their creativity, their unbreakable spirit. The council began to understand that attacking humans was not merely unwise. It could be suicidal. Shara of the Avori finally spoke. Her soft, melodic voice carried a sense of calm. If we are to act, it must be with understanding. We must recognize their strengths and acknowledge the lessons they can teach us. A species that has endured fire and destruction yet still seeks friendship. This is a species we should honor, not fear. Her words struck a chord. The council members realized that humans were not only survivors, they were teachers of resilience, a species whose very existence reminded the galaxy of the power of determination and hope. Valar raised his hand for silence. Then the decision is clear. Humanity will be treated not as a threat, but as potential partners. We will approach them with respect, with offers of trade, knowledge, and diplomacy, but we will also maintain vigilance. We must never underestimate their power or resolve. The delegates nodded, some with relief, some with lingering concern. They would offer peace, but they would remain aware of humanity's remarkable capabilities. A holographic projection of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber. The planet shimmered with life, oceans, forests, and cities. Valar spoke softly, almost to himself. They are young, yet they carry the weight of history on their shoulders. Their wars could have destroyed them, yet they endured. They fought, learned, and rose above it all. This is not merely a species. This is a force of nature. Orlus tilted his head. We must ensure that our approach honors that force. We cannot patronize them. We cannot underestimate them. And above all, we must recognize that peace is not weakness. With humanity, peace is the only wise choice, Thrix, though still wary, agreed. Then it is settled. We extend our hand to humanity. We offer friendship and knowledge, and we watch, learning what we can. Perhaps in time they will teach us more about survival, courage, and the endurance of life itself. The chamber was quiet for a moment, the delegates reflecting on the magnitude of their decision. They had seen countless species rise and fall in the galaxy. Many had succumbed to pride, fear, or complacency. Humanity, however, had survived the impossible. They had endured fire, famine, disease, and war, and emerged stronger, wiser, and determined to continue. Valar finally spoke again, his voice steady and commanding. Prepare the messages. Prepare the emissaries. Humanity must know that we come not as rulers, not as judges, but as equals. We offer our knowledge, our friendship, and our peace, and we do so not out of mercy, but out of respect for their spirit, their resilience, and their strength. The council chambers hummed as preparations began. Delegates consulted protocols, diplomats drafted messages, and starships readied for the long journey to Earth. For the first time in galactic history, the council approached a species not to conquer, not to subdue, but to honor. Valar's eyes lingered on the projection of Earth. He knew that this decision was more than diplomacy. It was an acknowledgement that humanity's history, their suffering, and their endurance had taught the galaxy a vital lesson. Strength comes not from weapons alone, nor from technology or conquest, but from the will to survive, to rebuild, and to seek peace even after unimaginable hardship. The council had chosen wisely, he thought. Humanity's wars had shaped them, forged them into a species of unimaginable resilience. Now the galaxy would see what they could offer in peace, and for the first time, the delegates of the Galactic Council realized something profound. Peace with humans was not a concession. It was the only path to true survival. The emissaries would soon depart, carrying the Council's message of respect and alliance. Earth and its extraordinary people would soon know that the galaxy was watching, not with fear but with admiration. The Council had made its choice. Humanity had survived fire and war, and now they would face the stars, not as isolated survivors, but as recognized equals. The emissaries of the Galactic Council approached Earth quietly, their sleek ships gliding through the atmosphere without fanfare. Humanity had grown accustomed to unexpected visitors in the night sky, but nothing like this had ever appeared before. Across the planet, humans watched as enormous vessels, unlike anything built by their own hands, hovered silently above major cities. Inside the Council's ships, the delegates prepared to deliver a message that would forever change humanity's place in the galaxy. They had come to offer peace, trade, and friendship, not because they feared humans, though they did, but because they respected them. Humanity had survived fire, famine, and war, and in doing so, had proven that they were a force the galaxy could neither ignore nor confront lightly. On Earth, the first human leaders to make contact were scientists, diplomats, and thinkers. They were cautious but curious. They had always dreamed of reaching the stars, but now the stars had reached back. A holographic projection of Chancellor Valar appeared before them, 4 luminous eyes observing the humans with deep respect. Humans, Valar began, his voice resonating with authority and calm. We have studied your history, your achievements, and your struggles. We have witnessed your wars and your triumphs, and we have learned that you are a species unlike any other. You endure, you rebuild, and you persevere. You are not merely survivors. You are a force of nature. The human delegates listened intently, astonishment and pride reflected in their faces. No alien had ever spoken of humanity this way, not with admiration, not with respect. Valar continued, We come not as rulers, not as judges, but as partners. We offer friendship, knowledge, and trade. We wish to learn from you, and perhaps in turn you may learn from us. Peace is not weakness, and respect is not submission. You have earned both. The humans exchanged glances. For centuries, their species had struggled against itself, waging wars that left cities in ruins and yet continued to rise stronger. And now, Those very qualities, resilience, courage, and determination, had commanded the attention of the galaxy. One human leader, Ambassador Lena Kor, stepped forward. Her voice was steady and clear. "We accept your offer of peace. Humanity has endured much, and we have learned the cost of conflict. If the galaxy seeks friendship, we will extend our hand. Let us move forward together, not as conquerors or subjects, but as allies." The council representatives allowed themselves a moment of relief. Humanity had accepted their offer willingly and with dignity. This was the first time in galactic history that a species had inspired peace simply by enduring hardship and proving their strength. Not by conquest, not by domination, but by the sheer force of their spirit. Across the Earth, ordinary humans looked up at the alien ships, sensing that something profound was happening. Farmers in the fields paused their work. Children playing in parks stopped to stare at the sky. Scientists and engineers in laboratories watched in awe. Humanity had survived its own wars, and now the galaxy had recognized them. In the council's chamber aboard their flagship, Chancellor Valar addressed his fellow delegates. "We have done well. By choosing peace, we have avoided a potential catastrophe. Humanity is not only a species to respect, but one to learn from. Their resilience, ingenuity, and determination will shape the future of the galaxy, if we allow it." Orlus of the Canary nodded. "It is rare that a species teaches us without even intending to. Their wars were their teachers. Their suffering forged their spirit. And now in peace they may guide others by example." Even Thrix of Shal, who had worried most, conceded. "We underestimated them at first. But now we see. Their strength is not in destruction alone, it is in endurance, in hope, and in the ability to rise above adversity. They have earned their place among the stars." Back on Earth, the alien emissaries left behind knowledge that humans had never dreamed of. New sciences, energy sources, and techniques for space travel. Humans eagerly shared their own discoveries, showing that even in the shadows of war, their creativity had flourished. Slowly, humanity began to take its first steps into the wider galaxy, not as conquerors but as explorers, allies, and teachers. Years later, the stories of that first contact would be told for generations. Children would learn that humanity's survival through hardship had not only preserved their species, but had also inspired the galaxy to choose peace over conflict. Human resilience became a legend, a shining example of what determination, courage, and hope could achieve. Chancellor Valar often reflected on that moment in the council. "They survived their wars, and in doing so they taught us all a lesson," he would say. "The galaxy learned that strength does not come from power alone. True strength comes from the will to endure, to rebuild, and to seek peace even when the odds are impossible." Humanity did not merely survive, they inspired the universe, and so humanity stepped into the stars. They carried with them the memory of fire, ruin, and loss, but also the spirit of hope, courage, and resilience. The galaxy watched, learning that a species forged in hardship could also be a beacon of inspiration. In the end, the humans had not just survived, they had triumphed. And in their triumph, they showed the galaxy that peace, forged from understanding and respect, was the greatest victory of all.